Hi everybody, hope you're doing well. Today I want to talk about doing what you don't want to do but you cave. I get a lot of people lately that are saying, Susan, I don't really want to do this but I'm doing it anyway. And I'm like, well, why are you doing it? Well, and they always have their excuses of why they say they're doing it. And I always tell them, if it doesn't feel right, why are you just doing it? It's one thing to keep the peace. Many times I've given in just to keep the peace. Or if I don't want to do something, but say my husband wants to do it, and I think, he gives in to me all the time, I need to give in to him. That's not the kind of stuff I'm talking about today, okay? I'm talking about when things really don't feel right and you're doing it because they want you to do it. The power of no is very, very strong, but it's very real. And just because somebody is ready to say, hey, I want you to take on this job. I know you'd be great with it, but you're like really happy at your position. You're happy at the level that you're at, and you really don't want to take on any more responsibility. But yet your superiors are saying, but we know you could do it. You got to do this for us. And something saying, don't do it, but you do it. And then you have nothing but turmoil after that. And you have no peace and you're exhausted. This is the kind of video I'm talking about today. Don't cave on something that doesn't feel right for you. Many times I've talked to people that were getting married. This is, I find, very interesting. And the day of their wedding, a few days before their wedding, they had an epiphany. They had an aha moment. I really don't need to be married to this person. But yet the flowers are ordered, the hall is ordered, all of these things. They can't go back on their word. Now they have to get married. And they get married and it ends up in a divorce. And they've seen all the red flags, but they didn't do anything about it. They caved. Why? You have to think about the bigger picture. When somebody is asking you to do something that doesn't feel right, you have to think of the bigger picture. So what do I mean by that? So if you cave, what then? Are you going to learn to be happy? I know you probably are going to try, and you're going to try to be positive, but then time goes by, and no matter how positive you are, it's not working. And the real thing is, you knew all along, but you caved. This is something that I'm seeing more and more people doing, and they shouldn't. You're just as important as everybody else, and so are your feelings. Now, I'm not talking about being selfish. This is not the kind of video this is about today. It's about doing something that really doesn't feel right for your spirit, and you're going against what your soul is talking to you and feeling. You've got to listen. Your quality of life is very important. But if you keep giving in for the peace because everybody else is telling you to do it, not only are you going to be a very unhappy person, but this life, you're wasting time on things that you could be really doing for yourself. Think about that, where you're supposed to be going. And it isn't until 40, 50 years and you finally realize it, which it's never too late. But why? Why waste all those beautiful years? And then I see people caving because they never think they're going to find their person. So they panic and they think, well, this is about the best that I'm going to get, so I'm going to cave. I can make do. He's not so bad. She's not so bad. But in reality, you're not in love with that person. You caved. You caved because of what? Because of fear. And that's where it's sad. So there's a lot of different things that come into play why you give in. Giving in against something that you know is not going to be good for you is going to turn you into another person that you shouldn't have been to begin with. Our actions are what puts us where we're going to go. And sometimes you take the hard way. I always say, when you don't listen to your intuition, you lose, and you will lose big time. I call it God's cheat sheets. God gives us the answers. Now, what are you going to do? You're going to listen or you're not going to listen. I always say when you don't listen, you lose. It's just that simple. We don't need to make this hard. If you're afraid, you need to really put Get the fear off the table for 5 minutes and look at this in a very logical way. And then get your intuition involved. You're going to be quite surprised what you're feeling. And when you feel that it's right to do this, not do this. Don't let people push you around telling you what to do that doesn't feel right for you. This is important. Too many clients now are coming up with this. So I'm starting to really pay attention that this is becoming more common than I care to see. Why do I say that? Because I don't want to see somebody doing something to save the peace when it's their joy at stake. That's what's really important. So pay attention to that. And like I said, if it doesn't feel right, don't do it. The reason our world is so upside down right now, truly, is because we have more followers than leaders. Whether what we want to do, who we want to vote for, it doesn't matter. You have to choose what you feel is best for you. That's the bottom line. It doesn't matter all the social media, what it's saying to do. You need to do what's best for you. If you start living your life more in that respect, giving yourself the respect, your spirit the respect, you are then going to find your happy place. The reason so many people aren't happy anymore is because they're not tuning into their spirit and they're not allowing themselves to do what feels right for them. As long as you're not hurting anybody and you're not doing it at somebody else's expense, do what's right for you. That's the bottom line. So remember that, okay? Don't worry about what everybody else is doing. Don't worry about saving the peace, because at the end, nobody gets peace because it's not going to work. And if it's not going to work, what are you doing? Don't think about right now. Think about the long-term effect. When you start getting in the habit of that, you will start making the right decisions. All right? So I hope this helps. Subscribe to Instagram, Facebook, my favorite, YouTube. More stories, more of everything will come through. Keep the questions going and have a very, very blessed week. You take care. All the best. Bye.